Good morning. This is Warren Epstein. I'm the communications director at Pikes Peak, soon to be State College, right, Lance? And this is a historic moment. I want to welcome everybody. Please keep for the moment, keep muted and your videos off. And as we start this, I want to show you an event that just happened Friday at our Rampart campus. I'm having some trouble. I'm not getting the same screen now, Carl. It's saying one participant can share at a time.
You should be good.
Oh, there we go. Now it's letting me. All right. Do you see my screen?
Yes.
Increasingly, what is soon to be known as Pikes Peak State College is offering 4-year degrees, bachelor's degrees. It's important for people to know they already offer full college degrees, full bachelor's degrees in nursing, emergency services administration, and paramedicine. In addition to that, they're developing bachelor's degree programs for interior design, dental hygiene, and entrepreneurship in the trades. So people that learn welding or plumbing or machinery are able to also get a bachelor's degree to include entrepreneurship so they can start their own company and really live their American dream. So that bill changes the name going forward to Pikes Peak State College. It's really an example of a community coming together. The Colorado Springs community engaged from the very start to really better reflect the work of what the college formerly known as Pikes Peak Community College does. And that's because increasingly that work, of course, includes their key role as a community college and associate's degrees. And one key thing they assured me is that prices are not going up. That's very important to note. They're going to still be very affordable. But increasingly, people will be able to get their bachelor's degrees from Pikes Peak State College and really make sure that for the rest of their lives, people know that they can have that pride that they have a bachelor's degree from a college. Of course, we will continue to meet at the institution, all of the associate's degrees, vocational certificates as well that the community demands. I want to compliment what is soon to be known as Pikes Peak State College on their deep commitment to partnerships with the private sector.
That was a trip. I got the work right here. That was a trip. Thank you so much.
There's real needs in the trades. These are areas that what is soon to be known as Pikes Peak State College is stepping up, creating programs, and making sure that young people, and in fact, people of all ages, have the opportunity to access these programs. Pikes Peak State College, here we go. It's official, Pikes Peak State College.
Okay, he just signed it.
Hey, thank you, Warren, for the video. The video fails to capture all the drama that went on Friday, but we had a time getting that signing arranged. I just want to give a little bit of quick background on how we got here and just kind of reminder on that, and then we'll talk about where we're going from here. But for a number of years, really fairly seriously, since Chancellor Garcia took over as the head of the community college system a little over 3 years ago, this conversation's been ongoing. We changed the name of 2 colleges last year. Trinidad State Junior College dropped the word junior from their name. Otero Junior College dropped the word junior from their name. Last fall, at our fall PDW, I put up a big slide that said Pikes Peak State College and said we were thinking about moving in this direction and we were really interested in the college's feedback on this. And I got some feedback, and I would say it was almost all positive about the possibility of that change. And as the fall went along and we got ready for the session, we were pretty slow, I would say, at a system level in making a decision. We were hiring a lot of new presidents. Chancellor Garcia was a little undecided about whether we should move forward with this or not, and trying to figure out how many other colleges might want to join in. Well, it turned out that I think mostly because we had so many new presidents that Pikes Peak was the only one. So at spring PDW, I announced that we were in the process of trying to gain what's called late bill status. So we had not put in a bill on time to be part of the regular process. So Representative Mark Snyder began working with the Speaker of the House and the President of the Senate to try to get late bill status. He was able to do that. And then this spring, the bill came up. Our student body president, Jalen Johnson, and I went to Denver twice to testify for the bill, once at the House Education Committee, where it passed unanimously. The bill went to the floor of the House and it passed 64-1. We did have one representative from the Grand Junction area that voted against it. Not really sure why. Maybe he just hit the wrong button accidentally. The bill then went to the Senate. We testified at Senate Education Committee. And again, the Senate Education Committee passed the bill unanimously. It went to the full Senate and the full Senate passed the bill unanimously. And we were really excited to hear on Thursday, without a lot of notice, that the governor had made a decision to do a signing ceremony at Pikes Peak Community College to sign the bill to make us Pikes Peak State College. And the governor only does maybe a dozen or so signing ceremonies for the hundreds of bills that are passed each year. So we thought this was really terrific that the governor wanted to come down and do the signing ceremony. He was very excited about what we had accomplished. Each of the representatives, Representative Mark Snyder, who was the prime sponsor of the bill and got us late bill status, Representative Tony Exum, who was also a prime sponsor. On the Senate side, we had Senator Pete Lee, who was our sponsor on the Senate side, and co-sponsor on the Senate side was Senator Paul Lundeen. So we have bipartisan support, and we had really strong support from our community. We had over 40 letters that came out from our community to our legislators in support of this bill. So very, very strong community support and representing leadership in government and nonprofit sectors and in the for-profit business sectors. So the letters we got were quite impressive, I would say, in terms of representing our community well. And I think that that's why the bill went through so well. We did not expect the governor's signing ceremony on Friday. And as I said, it was a bit chaotic. If you didn't know, there was a wildfire that broke out very close to the Rampart campus. So we were going to have the signing ceremony at Rampart. But because of the fire and the emergency incident command was set up in the parking lot there next door at New Life Church, and the roads were blocked, we got everybody moved to the downtown campus to do the signing ceremony. And then the governor and his team decided they wanted to move it back to Rampart. So we all moved back to Rampart, and we finally did get the bill signed, and it was really gratifying. A lot of work went into this to be there with the governor signing the bill into law. There are different ways that bills are written in terms of when they go into effect. This bill had a provision in it called a safety clause. And the safety clause means that the minute the governor signs the bill, it has gone into effect. So as far as Colorado state statute is concerned, today we are Pikes Peak State College. But don't panic, and there's no emergency, and you don't need to storm the offices of Warren or Jim Mancall, and I'll introduce Jim in a minute, because we can move it at our own pace and in a really organized, hopefully very organized fashion to implement this. And I expect it's going to be a multi-phase process that will go on. It could go on for a year or two to really get everything changed here. And so we don't need to start burning signs or that kind of thing. That there is a long list already that our task force has put together. One of the things that's really going to help us is that our state system changed the name of two of our colleges last year. So they have a list of about 200 items that they know we need to work through. So we've got a team at the Colorado Community College System office that's working with us. And then we have our own team here that's working alongside them. Sort of in the lead up to this, Warren Epstein has been leading a task force on this. But as we looked at the size and the breadth of this task, we ended up on the end of last week assigning it to Jim Mancall, who is our chief of staff here. And Jim will be connecting with people across the college. There'll be a lot of work to do on the IT side. And that's one of the reasons that the system is so involved. But I just want to reassure you that although this has changed in statute today, we are just moving forward as we have in the past. And I'm really excited about what this accomplishes for us. And I just want to end with this, and I'm going to invite questions and comments from Warren or Jim or anybody else that wants to chime in for things I might have missed. But we think this is going to really help our enrollment. We think that this is going to help us with recruiting employees. We've had some real challenges between COVID and the pandemic and frankly, community college system pay rates with recruiting some positions here on campus. We think that this will really help us build more partnerships in the community, that there are businesses and organizations who might be eager to partner with Pikes Peak State College, who might have been a bit reticent about partnering with Pikes Peak Community College. There is a lot in a name. And finally, we think it'll really help us with fundraising. You know, out of the billions and billions of dollars raised in higher ed by community colleges, state colleges, universities, about 1% of all of that goes to community colleges, and yet there are over 1,000 community colleges across our nation. And so we are hopeful that the success that we've had in fundraising, and we've had a lot already, will be increased and magnified by this change. And so we're excited about it. It's happening. It's part of state statute now, and now comes the hard work of the implementation. And as I said, it's going to take some time, and we're okay with that. So let me stop and check in. Warren and Jim, anything that I missed that the two of you would like to chime in to add?
Well, just that, you know, it's interesting looking back at Friday, which was such a hair on fire situation of literally a fire up north of Rampart and moving around, and the governor and their security folks. And afterwards I was thinking, you know, I was kind of glad that all these balls had to be juggled, and all this. Changing a name of a college is a significant thing, and we shouldn't take it lightly, and it should be hard. It was sort of monumentally hard to get everything rounded up that day, but I was glad to see it. And, you know, from a communications and marketing standpoint, I really feel like State College gives us more credibility, certainly. But, you know, we have to also, a lot of people are like, does this mean that we're moving away from being community minded? And there's an irony to this, because we've never been more committed to creating partnerships, to working on apprenticeships. The videos that we're putting together for an upcoming event that we have next Thursday, the President's Dinner, it really demonstrates some of those new pipelines that we're creating. So the idea that community is going away is not the case, but we are, I think, upping our game, and we need a name that reflects that.
I would only add a couple of things, and just emphasizing what Warren has said, that this isn't changing our mission about creating greater access to higher education. I think that's always going to be front and center. But I have, you know, a couple of weeks ago, I talked to a group of nursing students who talked about a little bit about an
initial session with him last week, and we ended up scheduling him.
Thank you for muting.
Thank you, Solanda. Who talked a little bit about contending with what is still a stigma associated with the name community college. And I think that this name change will really help us with recruitment and help students who, when they finish their degrees here, are going out and looking for jobs or going on to other degrees.
And you should also know that we're not alone. Over half of the colleges that had been called community colleges 10 years ago have changed their names to state college or technical college. So the idea is not alone, that the brand of what is called community college has diminished. And that's another reason that we needed to move to a different space.
Yeah, absolutely true, Warren. In fact, among the colleges in the American Association of Community Colleges organization, less than half now have community or junior in their name. And just as an example, I attended Emmanuel County Junior College in rural South Georgia, which I was very pleased later in life to have on my transcript East Georgia State College, which is the name that they adopted years later. And I think in many of these cases, and we've heard from people in other states who have talked about their experience with this, they have seen significant increases in enrollment and partnerships and fundraising and all the things that we're talking about that we hope to accomplish. So I think, Carl, at this point, if people want to come off of mute, they can and turn their video on and ask questions if you have questions, and we'll do our best to answer them. You can also put questions in the chat.
There is a question in the chat.
I have fielded this question from Jody a number of times already. In fact, when I talked to my student body president, who is graduating in May, Jalen said, well, will my new degree say Pikes Peak State College? And the answer is no, we will not have our degrees updated by that time. But we hope that during fall semester, we will be able to really implement the first phase of this, one of which would be that student transcripts would begin reading Pikes Peak State College. And that would, my understanding is that would apply to anyone regardless of when they graduated, that if they return to our college for a copy of their transcript, it would say Pikes Peak State College. And we hope to have that in place sometime in fall semester. You're welcome, Jody.
I know folks are going to ask about business cards, and here's a question from Nate Wadman. Why the word state and not just Pikes Peak College? It's a good question.
Well, because we are a state institution, and so there was a time when the state of Colorado had multiple state colleges. There was Adams State College, there was Fort Lewis State College, there was Western State College, and the largest of them, Metro State College. Over the years, all of those colleges ended up changing their name to university and dropped state from that. And so we saw an opportunity to sort of fill that next level. We want people to know that we're a public institution and that we're a state institution. And so we were a little bit concerned about the possibility of Pikes Peak College as being not recognized as a state entity. And one of the things that we really try to make sure that people are aware of in our community is that we are a public state college.
You know, and as we're doing this process, and I'm glad Dr. Bolton talked about that this is going to be a long process, not just a press of the button. But you should know that there are things that will be a press of the button in come September is what our time frame is. We're looking at. We hopefully can get things lined up by then. Our URL will change. So we'll be migrating to a new platform, and that will be pikespeak.edu. So we decided to, and our sister colleges, several of them have done that, like frontrange.edu. I think it makes sense, and it will mean that we'll change our emails as well. But for at least a year, I believe, it will forward. So if people are trying to reach you on the old email, it will automatically redirect to the new one.
Thank you, Warren. Quick response to Brandy's question about the entrepreneurship degree. So the way that we're pursuing bachelor's degrees in the system now has really changed over the last couple of years, again, under Chancellor Garcia's leadership. Last year, with his leadership, one of the things that happened is that the process became much less convoluted and difficult for us to pursue a bachelor's degree. Rather than having to go to the legislature and the CDHE and to our state board, we now have authority to begin bachelor degree programs with only needing to go to our state board. And of course, our state board is very supportive of our work. So what Chancellor Garcia has done is really try to organize the colleges to work together through the system to pursue bachelor degree programs where there are opportunities and needs in our community. So this entrepreneurship degree is one that the system is working on, and probably 6 or 7 of us as community colleges within the system are contributing to it and are expressing interest and are part of this. It's really designed as a completion program for programs like HVAC, welding, machining, construction, that allows people to gain the knowledge to be able to go out and start their own business and to be entrepreneurs in these career tech areas. And so it's one of the priority degrees from our system. We're really excited about it. We think it would serve our students extremely well. We're not exactly sure what the timing with this will be. Again, we're trying to move in concert as a large group of colleges in a system. So that's makes it a little bit less clear on the ground on a given day exactly where we are with these. But I expect over the next couple of years that we will have at least 4 or 5 opportunities to join in to these bachelor degrees like the one I'm describing that the system is really leading on. And Landon Pirius, if you know Landon, is really the leader on these. We have a good model for this one, by the way, too, that I just want to mention, which is from Washington State, that they've been doing this for a number of years with really positive outcomes, I think, for students in the programs.
Good question from Sarah Catanza about.
Sarah, I don't anticipate any relationship issues with our other colleges or universities. We'll mention that Colorado College was one of the many entities that wrote a letter to our legislators in support of the name change. UCCS and the University of Colorado system certainly could have objected if they wanted to. And there's every year, typically robust debates that go on between the community college system and the CU system. We're the 2 largest systems of higher ed in Colorado. And they took a neutral stance on the bill. So they said, yeah, fine. We don't feel like it affects us one way or the other. We're fine with this. So I expect that we'll continue to enjoy a very strong relationship with our sister colleges in the region.
Question about tuition costs.
No changes in tuition cost other than what tuition cost changes that affect the whole community college system. So we remain a part of the community college system. There are 13 colleges in the system, and our state board sets tuition for all 13 colleges, and we will remain part of that.
Question about whether open enrollment will change. It's really good because that's one of the important things as we sort of rebrand a bit here, to let folks know we are still a community college, that we are still open enrollment, that there's no change about that.
Yeah, that's accurate. No change in our enrollment policies, no change in tuition. Gage, I will tell you, I have every chance I get, every reporter I can talk to, every time I can get in front of people. And then you heard the governor say it. I asked the governor specifically to say this, that there would be no change in tuition. And he did a great job. He said that. We're saying that just really trying to make sure that the word gets out about that we are not making college less affordable for our students.
That's a good question from Jojo. Is it possible to get access to the letters of support? Yeah, I think we can post that somewhere on our website where we're posting this video, and I can let folks know about that. Somebody else had asked if it will change our state funding. Will we get more funding for things like the library or something because we have a new name?
We will not get more funding, although I will say that, again, I keep bringing Joe up, but Chancellor Joseph Garcia has been very successful in his tenure as our system chancellor at increasing funding for the community colleges relative to some of our peer institutions around the state. And so, I'm very pleased that, we can expect that to continue here. It's still very tough because of our losses in enrollment, but over the last couple of years and losses of revenue in the state as well. But relative to our peer institutions, the community college system has really done better than it ever has in the last few years with funding from the state. That doesn't mean that funding is abundant, doesn't mean that the funding is meeting our needs, but it does mean that I think his leadership has really helped us sort of in the competition with the university systems and colleges to get a little bit bigger share of that pie than we had in the past. But we will continue again to be part of the community college system. The state funds the community college system as a whole, and then the community college system apportions that money out to our institutions, and that will continue as it has for many years.
Question about whether the state is going to assist us with the costs associated with the name change, and there certainly will be some costs.
Yeah, again, well, whether there will be what the costs are is going to be pretty limited. I mean, we've been thinking and talking about for a number of years upgrading our signage. A lot of you know, most of you probably know that we've had trouble with our sign out there on Academy Boulevard. It was damaged by storm. We have had an RFP in holding now for a couple of years around improving wayfinding on our campus. And so I know I have a couple of people that are really concerned about the cost, and there's probably little reason to be concerned about that, but no, the state is not. There was no.
Somebody needs to turn off their stinking.
Thanks for the muting there, folks. There was no fiscal note associated with this bill. So a fiscal note means that the state is going to put money into it. There was none of that. It's one of the reasons that this may take a number of years is we're going to try to be very orderly in what we're doing and update our college as it makes sense to the new name pieces. But I don't expect a giant bill from this. It's going to be a lot of human resource time. I think the community college system team is estimating that they will need to put in about 200 hours on the changes. We'll probably have a team that will put in some similar amount of time, but I think we're in pretty good shape with that. One of the things I'll tell you about name change as well, which is really important in terms of managing the budget, is it's a one-time expenditure versus an ongoing expense. What we really have to be careful about at the college is our ongoing expense category as opposed to relatively small one-time expenditures.
So Deidre is asking about our sister colleges who've done the name change. It's too soon to say whether the name change has affected their enrollment or anything else, but they found the process fairly smooth. There were a few technical glitches with moving over different platforms for email, but I think they worked it out pretty well. And it's actually really helpful to have two that changed their name so soon before we're doing it. So we do have a lot of process in place. One of the things that I was told by folks at Otero was, and I agree with this, is starting with the most outwardly facing things first that are easy to change. Obviously the website, but also business cards and name tags and some of those things we would like to phase out and just use up what you have. But it's really, when you do that, you're putting out the wrong name of the college now. So we need to, at least once we decide we want to pull the trigger on this, we really want to start everybody getting on board with the tablecloths that you're going to event. You want to make sure you're representing Pikes Peak State College. There is, by the way, a temporary moratorium on new swag that we're just encouraging you not to order new tablecloths with Pikes Peak Community College on them. We'll have the new stuff pretty soon.
We are tentatively beginning to plan something in the fall that might be a a bit of a celebration around this to really make a big announcement to our community, but also to really involve and engage all of our employees and students in that as well. Michael, great question. We are not trying to immediately begin using the language of Pikes Peak State College in conversations with students. Certainly fine to let people know about it, let folks know that they might hear Pikes Peak Community College or Pikes Peak State College over the next few months. But we don't want to create confusion for people during this enrollment period. And so we really are going to hold off on most of those, what Warren was describing as outwardly facing pieces until fall semester starts. And it just gives us more time to get organized around that. Conrad, we haven't gotten into that level of detail. I'll say there's probably some money in the table costs and banners, but this is relatively small stuff for a college of our size. I think what we would likely do is try to put together something that might be a college-wide order process so that we can use some, hopefully some volume to get the cost down on some of that. But I think that in the next few months, we'll be reaching out to folks to give us their input about what they would like to see. But if we could do just maybe one order that kind of takes care of the whole college's needs around some of that swag, that would be helpful. To Kendra, no, the mascot will not be changed. I think after the last student vote, that the students made very clear that they did not want to see the mascot changed. And
I tried to kill Arnie and he can't be killed. The students love him, so I'm going to let that one go. The question about the logo, we're looking at it, and I think that we may have a subtle evolution, just as we have in the past, that hopefully people will be able to recognize that it's still the same college, but that it's updated. I think the colors certainly would be updated, but we haven't really gotten that far yet in the process. Let's see. Oh, the other thing I wanted to mention to Conrad is I'd love to have some sort of recycling event, where we can bring big trucks and people can take the stuff that they're going to be recycling and just do it in one big fell swoop.
I just want to go back to the mascot. Speculated recently that we might be the only college in the nation with the mascot of Aardvark. And not only are we not the only college in the nation, we're not even the only community college in Colorado that has.
Exactly right, Nate. Ames.
Yes, community college is claimed the mascot of the Fighting Aardvarks, and there are a number of other colleges around the nation. I was a bit amused to see when I did some research on this that are also the Aardvarks. So I was didn't take me long to find out that we're not the only Aardvarks out there.
Yeah, Karen brings up a good point. We should mention that the communications marketing team has been working with a local agency, and we're looking at a cohesive brand that ties us to our past but moves us to our future. And we'll be sharing all of that as transparently as we can when we get there.
No, we are not looking to bring athletics to the college. We have some intramural sports that I expect will continue as they have been.
Also, feel free to just unmute yourself and ask the questions directly if you want, or continue in the chat. Housing options. That's a little bit off the topic of State College, but maybe not. Maybe as we're becoming something bigger, something.
Well, Audrey, your question actually goes with the question before. It's pretty much impossible to have athletics without having housing. We're not planning to do either. We have looked at a number of times opportunities to do affordable housing on our campus that we've really worked more like affordable family housing for students. And many of our students, something like 65% of our students are primary caregivers. Unfortunately, the challenges with using state-owned land to be able to do that have been thus far insurmountable. I do wish that there were more affordable housing options in our community, and especially for our students, because we know that a lot of our students experience homelessness. We know that of course, has a tremendous negative impact on a student's ability to complete. But as of now, we've never been able to figure that out. And Fabiola, I couldn't say it enough, our tuition will not be changing. So spread the word, folks. Tuition is not changing. The cost of attendance at Pikes Peak is not changing. Michael, yes. The way that your question is worded isn't quite accurate. We're not going to be seeing more bachelor's degree programs created due to this change, but we are going to see more bachelor's programs created because that's happening anyway. And I know a lot of you are kind of coming on late and you may have had things that you had to do earlier, but we are working with the system and a process to develop. We have about half a dozen or more bachelor's programs that are in process right now for the whole community college system.
Yeah, so it's kind of the other way around, where the name change reflects our growing number of four-year degrees, I think. Questions about the task force. That's really across the college, IT, marketing, and beyond. Everybody, people, everything from financial aid to the campus police are going to be involved in this. And Jim Mancall is the point person. So if you have ideas of things, oh, that maybe they didn't think about this, please email Jim. There's a question of when we might have be able to order new swag with the new logo. I'm saying probably June or July is when we could start doing that. We'll have those assets in place.
If I'm not sure about Fabiola, your question there. You know, we have huge numbers of students, hundreds and hundreds, thousands even, who are coming to Pikes Peak to do career and tech programs. Many of those students start while they're in high school with our Career Start program, which has been enormously successful. We are the community college that serves the Pikes Peak region. We will continue that mission. Not only are we not moving away from the mission of our career and tech programs, we're actually looking to enhance them. And, you know, an example of that is the entrepreneurship degree that we are looking to couple with our career and tech programs. We also have significant growth in the career and tech programs. Our healthcare programs are rapidly growing in response to need from our community. Folks in manufacturing and other areas are saying we need more people from your college. And so I feel really good about where we are, the advisory councils that we have associated with those programs, the work we do with our high schools, and the knowledge our community has about our career and tech programs.
Good question about whether we should change our syllabi for fall. That's a tough one.
Is the question, Cindy, just like, should you replace Pikes Peak Community College with Pikes Peak State College for your fall syllabi?
I think that's what she's saying.
Yeah, that's my question is, you know how we put Pikes Peak Community College on the top of our syllabi? Should we go ahead and put State College starting in fall or summer even?
Yeah, I think that would be great if you did that. I think in the fall, we will be just after school starts. You know, the plan is to really do a big celebration around it. And so going ahead with that for your syllabi would be perfectly appropriate if you'd like to do that.
Should we leave community college for summer?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for that question here. But very quickly, I knew we would get into some questions that we just hadn't even had a chance to consider yet. But thank you for that. All of those are super helpful.
And we keep finding, by the way, new things that we need to change, and we're adding to the list, like the decals that are on our fire trucks and police cars and all that stuff. Oh.
Yeah, and things will be prioritized differently as we're going along. Again, I expect multiple phases of priorities for getting these things done. Whether we need to change the decals on a vehicle, we have our trucks that we use in the facilities have our name of our institution on it. Likely a lot of those will just update when we get new vehicles.
Yeah.
Deborah, we will indeed need to work with HLC, not just HLC on our accreditation, but all of our accrediting bodies. So we have many programs who have their own accreditation alongside our college's full accreditation through HLC. And that'll be one that we're really paying attention to, making sure that our accreditors know who we are and that they're up to date with their documentation on the college. Well, thanks for saying good question on that, Glenn. I don't understand the question. Can anybody help me?
The question about how we're, beyond the name change, how are changing perceptions of attending a community college going to be addressed?
How are we challenging the
How are we
perception?
challenging? Sorry.
Well, I guess every day, what I feel like is that we deliver really quality education here at Pikes Peak. And, one of the things that really sticks in my mind about this question is surveys of people in our community, high school students and adults, and what their perception is of our institution before they've ever attended, and many of them may never attend, and then what their perceptions are after they attend and when they're attending. And there's just a dramatic difference. So community-wide, there has been, and this holds true nationwide as well, this rather negative perception of community colleges. And I've talked, for example, about the
Business cards and everything else.
I've talked about the comedy show that NBC, I think, put out, basically making fun of community college students. And so people have these perceptions, and then they come and those perceptions are completely reversed when they have the experience of the quality of our faculty, the quality of the experience of being a student at Pikes Peak. And so I think the challenge for us is to get students across the threshold to become students, and then their perceptions are dramatically changed. I'll tell you, nobody was bigger cheerleader on this name change than our K-12 partners in the community. Our high school superintendents, our principals, were very excited about this because many of them know that Pikes Peak would be a great option for a lot of their students, but their students don't take that option because they've been put off by the negative perceptions that they have with the name community. And so I think the biggest thing that we can do is simply to serve more students and have them have that extraordinary high quality experience that our students do have at Pikes Peak.
And a good timing question from Rob Frederickson about we might want to time the business cards with the email, since you want to have your email address on your business cards. And I think that's smart. I think what we'll try to do is have the business cards printed so that they're ready to go, and then you can give them out once you have that new email address.
I'm not opposed to anyone having business cards, but I will say they seem so archaic to me. And
yeah, that's true.
I just wonder how many, I've just quit carrying them. I can't even remember when I've given out a business card. I just exchange information with people on phones. And so I do wonder how many of those we really need out there. But if people want them, that's fine. They make nice bookmarks indeed. It's about what I'm doing with my door stops.
Yes, that is true. A question about, since we're moving to pikespeak.edu, does that mean that the email addresses will change to that as well? And yes, the answer is yes.
But your old email address will continue to forward for at least a year. Well, maybe we wrap up here. I just want to say thanks to everyone who was able to jump on and attend this morning. Because of the unexpected quick nature of this that happened on Thursday, with notice that the governor was coming on Friday, we just thought it was really important to inform you, have a chance to do a town hall together about what's happening. We didn't just want you to see this on the news or in the paper and think, well, I didn't even know that was happening. And so I thought it was super important that we just get out in front of this and have a chance to have an institution-wide conversation about what's happening with the name change. I know there will be ongoing questions. Many of you will think of things as we go. Again, we're going to try to have a bit of a slow and orderly process with this that allows us months to sort of put together lists of things that need to be done and to then implement those without creating a lot of chaos for the college. So,
and Lance, I want to just put out there that if anybody wants to be part of that task force and feels like you've got a lot of different tentacles that need to be addressed, please contact Jim Mancall. I know that we're still adding to that, both that list as well as people who want to be involved with that process. So please contact him.
Right, exactly. We're getting a lot of good feedback about who we need on that task force as well from our sister colleges that have been through the process too. So that's been helpful. So if you don't ask to be on, you may be asked to be on as well. So Jim, any last things from you, sir?
No, but I would just second that this will be a multi-phase process, and there'll be a lot of details. So if you have things on your mind or things we might be overlooking, please don't hesitate to be in touch and let me know.
All right. Well, thank you all. Hope you have a wonderful week. And again, thanks for joining this morning.